Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 73 of the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. This episode is brought to you by Wendigo Tea. Go to the website, wendigotea.com. That's WENDIGOTEA.com. WendigoTea.com. You can check out their list. They got some amazing teas, including the Wendigo Green Tea, which was one of my personal favorites from the package that Sky sent me. It was unlike any green tea I've ever had. Super flavorful. I mean, just very earthy and refreshing. They harvest all their ingredients organically. By hand. These are all selected by Sky himself. He travels the world looking for some of the best ingredients you can find. They don't use any additional flavors. They don't do any preservatives, any of that stuff. You know, just all natural tea. And it'll change your perspective of what you think tea is. Like if you go to a McDonald's and order an iced tea or whatever, it's not the same thing. This is real artisanal craft tea. And as you get older, you start getting more concerned about the health benefits. And green tea is super good for you. If you're finding yourself trying to find something to replace your morning coffee so that you stop taking in so much coffee with your life, this is a perfect alternative. Go to the website right now, place an order, and use the promo code RRBG to get 15% off. Also, I recently launched my Patreon page. If you're not familiar with what Patreon is, it's basically like a fan club. You can come into the website and sign up. You can donate $1 if you want to support the podcast, or you can donate up to $5 and get yourself exclusive access to some of these Psycho Las Vegas interviews that I did. This will be the only place where you can get the full audio interviews from Psycho Las Vegas, including bands like Lucifer and Coven. I talked to Jimmy Bowers from Down and I Hate God. I talked to CKY. I talked to Red Fang. And Andrew WK. Amazing interviews from my trip to Vegas, all exclusively on the Patreon. Sign up today for $5 and get access to all of this. Plus, you'll get early access to the TV pilot once that's ready to go, and you'll get access to exclusive merchandise and many other things that I'm working on for you. Please go to patreon.com/rockandrollbeerguy. That's patreon.com/rockandrollbeerguy. Sign up today. Support your boy. In this episode, I talked to Jake Bowen of the band Periphery and his new side project, 4 Seconds Ago. We talk about the new project that he launched on 3 Dot Recordings, which is a label that he started with Misha Mansoor of Periphery, and Misha is also on this project with him. It's an electronic project, so we talk a lot about that and what it takes to write electronic music. We talk a little bit about the future of Periphery, and we talk a lot about video games. I had a really great time talking to him, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and cheers. Welcome, everyone, to the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast, here with Jake Bowen of Periphery and 4 Seconds Ago, which is your new project. How you doing today, brother?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Doing all right. You know, a Tuesday. It's like that weird day in the middle of the week that is not exciting.
Yeah, it's a good day for like paying bills and checking the mail and being on the phone with airlines like I've been doing. So I hear that.
You were mentioning you had an issue with Southwest. What's going on? Everything all right?
Oh, no issue. Just I didn't get my confirmation email, which has the receipt and the itinerary and stuff like that. So that's what I was trying to figure out. Just mundane, boring Tuesday related stuff.
Okay, I was hoping it wasn't like lost luggage or something crazy.
No, that will happen probably, but that's not. No, we're not there yet.
Cool, man. Well, you just launched this 4 Seconds Ago with Misha from Periphery. How's that? Is it out officially? I have a copy of it thanks to Monica, but I don't know if it's officially out yet.
No, it's coming out September 28th.
Okay.
On the label that we just started called 3 Dot Recordings, and that'll be the first record we put out on the label. So I'm pretty excited about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had any involvement in the label. So. What are your duties at the 3 Dot?
Well, we're all of us in Periphery are co-owners, and we're pretty much responsible for every aspect, all of us. We just pick up different responsibilities when we can, and we also have our manager, Wayne Begini. he handles the day-to-day stuff and the organizational stuff, and we have a weekly call with him, and it's just kind of like he's like the head, the point person. So, but I guess the most important duties that we have as the owners of the label is to manage our releases, our side projects, and hopefully sign some third-party talent in the future.
Very cool. And where did that decision come from to kind of just branch off and do it on your own?
It's always like it was always thrown out as a joke when we were just thinking about what our future was, and then the joke became more serious as we got a little older and we realized maybe this is something we should do. And then we eventually met Wayne, the guy I just mentioned, who is Periphery's manager, and we told him that was something that we were kicking around, and he's like, yeah, we could totally do that. And he helped us figure it out. So it's been a long time in the making, and it's one of those things that, like, we probably could have done it a lot sooner, but the biggest thing standing in the way was that we were a part of Sumerian Records for a very long time, so we had to wait until that contract was up, and then we could start on the whole label thing. So I guess after that ended, then we were pretty much ready to get that going, and it happened pretty fast, so I feel good about it.
Nice. And your experience with Sumerian was good? I mean, you guys did how many albums? Like 4 with them? 3?
Oh my God, I should know the answer to this question. I'm sorry. Let's see. Periphery 1, 2, 3, the 2 EPs, it's 5, and then Juggernaut, which is a double album, but we'll just say that's 1.
Okay.
So 6 records, 6 releases.
Yeah, and it was a good experience. I mean, obviously, if you stayed that long, obviously it was a good experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any sort of relationship that you have. It has its ups and its downs, and it was mostly a positive experience, and they definitely believed in the band, and they let us do our thing, which is important to us because some bands need a lot of direction, or are at least open to being kind of produced, so to speak, and we had more of a clear picture of what we wanted, and so that, I guess, that was kind of the best part about being with them, is that they just let us do what we want, and it went pretty well.
Well, that's good, yeah, because I mean, we're living in a weird time where labels are not what they used to be anyway. Like, they're not just throwing money around, or the money wasn't really being thrown around, but it was being lent. And now it's a little different. They're kind of looking for bands that are establishing themselves on social media and all that. So it's good to hear that they give you the freedom,
Yeah, it is true. Like, labels are in a weird position right now, just in the timeline of the music industry. It's just it must be weird to hear that we started our label, where in the same sentence we're like, yeah, well, what's the deal with labels? Like, it wasn't like it was, so it's just it's all about what the purpose of the label is. Like, if you're like trying to, get huge and sell a lot of records, maybe you shouldn't start a label. But if you're trying to, support artists and hopefully make a little bit of profit so you can continue to support your passion, then I'd say that's a more realistic endeavor.
Awesome, yeah, and so we can expect the next Periphery to be out on that record label, 3 Dot, yeah?
Yes, absolutely, which we're finished writing with that, so all we got to do is track it, and then we'll release that. I'm really excited about that one because the side projects are fun, like little things that we can do on the side, but obviously, like, Periphery is our main passion.
For sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I've been following it since before, when it was Bulb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
cool.
was great. I sent Misha years ago. I sent Misha he was looking for a vocalist, so I sent him like a me singing over Light, which was pretty cool. But Oh,
sweet! I didn't know. I must have heard that audition. I I have all those auditions somewhere, like on an old computer, so I'm going to go dig it out. I'm going to go find your name on there.
Hopefully it's around.
Yeah.
So tell me about 4 Seconds Ago. What's the meaning behind that name?
Well, it's a little bit of it's a misquote from an internet cartoon called Homestar Runner.
Oh my God.
I think, yeah, it's it's a blast from the early 2000s. Yeah, I think the quote is something like, I was saving that one for about 2 seconds ago, but every time I would quote it, because me and Misha would quote that stupid cartoon constantly. I mean, we still do. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah. So I was misquoting it as 4 seconds ago, and then we just decided to name our project that. And the name has been around since like 2008, 2007. We've been trying to do an electronic project together for a really long time, and we even wrote a couple of songs, but we never just like sat down and were like, okay, time to write an album under this project, and so it's taken a while to get going.
Yeah, and it's cool to hear. I know you have always been into that. You have a couple solo records that you did that are actually in like constant rotation on my girl's playlist. When she does her makeup in the mornings.
Oh,
and,
cool!
Yeah, that's so funny because I told her, I'm like, oh, I'm talking to Jake Bowen, and I showed her some of your music, and she's like, I already have a few of these on my playlist. I'm like, oh, okay, there you go.
That's awesome. Well, tell her I said thank you for checking it out. I'm glad that some people have heard about it.
Yeah, no problem. And I know that Periphery has like little interludes and a lot of electronic layers throughout. So this is something that's always been electronic music has always been a thing for you guys. So where does that come from? Like, what's your biggest influence for that?
Without rattling off like a list of bands,
yeah,
I'd say it started when I started getting into recording. So it's a really long story. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But even before I met Misha, I was following him online, and this is probably like 2005, 2006 time frame. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of learning about like I was like hitting him up, and I was following his posts on forums and seeing what software he was using. And I eventually got a copy of Reason and started dabbling with the little Reason presets, not knowing how to record anything, but like that's where I started like kind of understanding. I'm like, oh, okay, you can make music with synthesizers. Let me figure out how to do this more. And as the years went on, I started doing it more and more. Just as like a dabbling, not even like not studying, not putting any sort of serious effort, not even like, reading anything online, but just kind of experimenting. And eventually I had enough little like clips and snippets and ideas that I was showing the band that they were like, oh, that's pretty cool stuff. You should do the interludes for the Periphery album. And so I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm not confident in this enough yet. And they're like, no, you should do it. So I mustered up the confidence and eventually got them going for Periphery 1. They're all weird and like, I guess they're just little palate cleansers and don't really have anything to do with the record. But anyways, that was kind of like and I got a lot of good feedback from those. So that was kind of like the thing that gave me the more confidence to move forward. And then I did them again on Periphery 2. And there's even a track on there called Epoch that I did that's like all in that style.
Nice.
And I basically got enough positive feedback for it that I knew that I could probably make an album of that kind of stuff. And then eventually I did. And I guess I was releasing tracks. Then I retroactively called it an EP. And then I released an album in 2015 called Isometric. Mm. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, besides a couple little demo ideas that I've posted online and then this 4 Seconds Ago thing, which has a lot of common DNA with the isometric stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that. There's, it's very similar. There's a little more, I don't want to say dubstep, but there's kind of heavier beats to the 4 Seconds Ago than the solo stuff. The solo stuff was a little more mellow and kind of chiptune, 8-bit kind of sounding things. Right?
Yeah, that's accurate, and I guess the the more punchier drum sounds and like the more polished production definitely comes from working with Misha, who has a bit more knowledge about that kind of stuff. So that was kind of one of the biggest reasons I was excited about working with him on this project, because I knew that it would sound different, and also, you know, me and him have really good writing chemistry. So it was just kind of there is a contrast for people who think that it might just be like an extension of my solo project. So there's that.
Yeah. So in the writing process for this 4 seconds ago, was it mostly collaborative effort, or was it you and then you brought it to Misha and then you guys just kind of worked it out together?
Well, it was interesting. We had as with everything we do in the band, everything's kind of an experiment. So we had 2 separate sessions. In the first session, I went with one sort of half-baked idea, and that got turned into the song Galaxy. And then the other 4 songs that we wrote in that first session all just happened. We did a song a day, and it was pretty fun because we don't really have that luxury with the Periphery stuff anymore. We take our time with songs. These things get drawn out. Back in the day, we used to be able to pump out like really solid ideas in a night, and this was kind of following that when we were doing the 4 seconds ago stuff, because there's no expectation, and we know how we've gotten better at writing metal, and with this stuff, it's way more experimental. So we did 5 songs the first session, and then it was originally going to be released as an EP, just because I didn't know if I had the material or the concentration to do a full record. And then we sat on it for a while without releasing it as an EP, just because we had other things going on. And then Misha's like, yeah, let's just write more songs. Let's turn it into an album. And I'm like, all right, fine. And I had already worked on a couple of ideas that ended up, like, one of the ideas is almost untouched. And I brought that to the project. And then there's another one that me and Misha collaborated on pretty heavily, and it really changed the shape of the song. So, and then we wrote 3 others in that second week too, like just on the spot. So it's a little bit everything he says. Like, some of it is, it might say most of it is collaborative, but a lot of these ideas get spurred by me bringing something that has potential that we can work on. And that's what a lot of these songs turned out to be.
Nice, man. And then I heard some singing in there. Is that you, or are you guys doing maybe trading off vocals?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of it is me doing like the main lines, but any of the harmonies and layering and stuff like that is me and Misha together. But there are some songs where Misha's it's just him singing too. So it's pretty even across the board. We're both the vocalists of this band, I guess.
Nice, man. Any plans on taking this on the road for maybe like a show or 2, or no? This is just a studio project.
Maybe me, but I don't think Misha has any interest in playing this stuff live. I think it's just to have fun and make music with his buddy. But I've played the isometric stuff live once, and I really enjoyed it. Nice. And I would like to do it again. So I asked him if it was cool if I played some of this stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, go for it." So I may introduce a couple of these songs into my set.
Nice. Yeah, it's a growing thing. The synthwave and electronic music seems to be making a comeback. Like, I get most of it from my fiance. She's, every time she gets up to do her makeup, I hear all new bands. And it's like, Carpenter. She introduced me to Carpenter Brute and Black Queen. Obviously, I know from Greg, stuff like that. But so it seems to be kind of growing, which might open doors for you to actually go out and do multiple shows with that.
Yeah, I'd be interested for sure. I think the scenes for these things are very insular, and I don't know anybody. Well, that's not true. I know like one or 2 guys that do this kind of stuff, but they're a little bit out of my league in terms of, like, they're real electronic musicians, and I'm just kind of like, just messing around. Yeah, so like I just don't feel like I can hang with some of these guys, and
who are these guys?
They're both friends of mine. One of them is Brian Trifon from Triphonic, and this other dude, Mr. Bill, and they're just like on a whole nother planet, like just technically and melodically, and they just, you know, that's their job, and you know, I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to really kind of be in the same world as some of these other guys, just because it's, you know, this is just a hobby. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm open to it, but I still haven't figured out how to kind of get into that world. And the thing that I acknowledge is that a lot of the electronic music that I put out is supported by the Periphery fan base. Like if you go on like related artists on Spotify or whatever, it just has like all these metal bands to, you know, and my album's like an electronic album, but it's because all the people who listen to Periphery are listening to this as well. So that thanks to the algorithm, it doesn't put the music with bands that are like each other. It just puts the music with what the people who listen to my stuff have listened to. So
yeah,
I'm finding
you're bridging that gap between metal and electronic with Periphery, because you guys, like we were talking about, you have those interludes, and there's already kind of an element of it in the music, so it makes sense. Yeah,
I'm hoping that it eventually gets bridged, and people can kind of go back and forth. I guess what I'm trying to say is that like I haven't really found a fan base outside of Periphery or the bands that surround Periphery, because a lot of those people are into this kinds of music, as you know, but people who just listen to electronic music and don't know anything about metal don't really know about this stuff. So that's kind of the thing that I'm trying to figure out.
You just got to get one of those big electronic guys to grab one of your songs and like remix it or something. You know?
yeah, that's true. It's true.
That's how that works.
We had Zed remix a Periphery song back before he got enormous, and he was already pretty big when he did it, but didn't really do anything for us.
Okay. I remember seeing Zed. I hosted. No, I didn't host. Let me rephrase that. I was working at a print shop, and I was doing giant banners for this weird poolside after party for this Ultra Festival in Miami. It's like a big electronic music festival.
Yeah, I know Ultra Fest.
Well, I grew up in Miami, so that was every year. It becomes a part of your life. You can't avoid it because traffic, and there's like a week-long conference all over the city, and
yeah,
it's
Miami South by Southwest.
Right, and it's all electronic, yeah. And I saw Zed perform with it was like Skrillex and somebody else. It was a poolside thing, and I had never heard of Zed, but I heard Zelda music playing. And he had like a weird Zelda song remixed into like a dubstep thing, and I was like, oh, so he's a nerd. I can relate.
Yeah. He's total nerd, and a lot of people don't know this about him, but he's also a drummer in a metal band at one point. So, yeah.
It's funny how those two worlds mix a lot. Like I grew up listening to a lot of metal, but also a lot of electronic, like Venetian snares and Aphex Twin, and what's this other one that I really enjoy? I'm blanking out on it right now. Oh, Prodigy, which is kind of, you know, when they play live, they have live instrumentation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're like almost like industrial sounding.
Right.
Yeah, no, Prodigy, they're good.
Now, for someone who's not completely in the know, how would you explain the writing process for electronic music? Because a lot of people that don't know would probably just say, oh, you guys are just sequencing a bunch of stuff and just pushing buttons. You're not really, there's no real musical talent behind it, which I hear a lot. And it's like, I completely disagree. So what would you tell them what are you involving in the writing process for that?
Well, it takes there's several schools of knowledge that you need to kind of not master, but at least get the hang of before you start writing electronic music, or at least start composing songs. And the first thing is to figure out what DAW you're recording in. which is it's like a digital audio workstation or whatever. And there's various ones. And I use Cubase, but you could use Ableton, and you can use Pro Tools or Logic, and all these have their separate workflows. They all do the same thing, but figuring out how to navigate these interfaces is its own thing that you have to learn. And what you'll find is that they all have their own language, so the language doesn't cross over. So if you learn one, you'll probably have to relearn how to do it on another one. So picking one of those and sticking with it and learning the most you can about it is part of the writing process. And then once you have that, then you need to figure out, what software synths you're going to use. All these programs have plugins that are these third-party programs that enable you to generate sounds or at least use digital representations of oscillators and samplers and groove machines and stuff like that. And these plugins get loaded into, like, let's say Cubase, like what I use, and then you have to control them with a MIDI track. And so figuring out how to load up a MIDI track and then have it direct all the MIDI information to the plugin can be difficult, because it's not just about like hitting the notes on the keyboard. It's also about like various automation and figuring out exactly what you want it to do, because it's almost like a visual form of scripting, sequencing. And you kind of have to program in what you want the instrument to do, and then you hit spacebar or play to get the playback, and then it'll play what you just programmed. So you have to use your ear. You have to have some sort of melodic knowledge that helps you build ideas or motifs or whatever. And you also program drum grooves with the same type of MIDI programming, and so understanding how drum grooves work and having some sort of rhythmic knowledge is part of it. And but yeah, I could keep going on and on. There's so many things to know about it. And that's kind of, I think if I started explaining that to somebody who thinks that electronic music doesn't really take any sort of real effort, and it's kind of just like you hit a button and everything does it by itself, then I would definitely just start getting into the technicals, because you would immediately watch their eyes glaze over as they realized, okay,
I'm over my head.
Yeah, maybe I was wrong. So it's a bit of it's taken me years and I started in probably 2005, 2006. So.
And it's all self-taught, so it's just experimenting and playing with it and learning. And obviously, as you got older, you said you started off just kind of experimenting, but as you got older, I'm sure you read up on stuff and.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that I did to get into this stuff was just, I was fortunate enough to have friends that also recorded, not that we're into any electronic music stuff per se, but hanging around Misha and watching him record and learning all these little workflow tricks and shortcuts and hotkeys and just paying attention to what he was doing while he was recording really gave me an advantage when I went to go and do things on my own, because he spent way more time studying that stuff than I ever did, and I get to kind of like come in and watch him work and then pay attention and learn things that way. So he probably didn't realize it, but he was unwittingly my teacher.
Nice. Well, that's how it is. I mean, if you're an intelligent person, you're paying attention to your surroundings, hopefully, and hopefully you're putting yourself in a position where you're learning to do what you want to do, and you wanted to do music, so that works out perfectly for you. Yeah. So when you're writing a song, where do you start with like a melody, or do you start with a beat?
I've tried starting songs with beats before, and they never get too far. Maybe once in a while something works out, but I generally start with a melody or at least some sort of texture, and then do like have it loop over and over again while I play things over the texture or whatever like melody I came up with, and then I build from there. But I never start out with a groove generally, and I never really start out with anything too complex. I don't really have a mind like that.
Gotcha. Are you also a gamer? Because I mean, I feel like there's a lot of that vibe with Periphery, that there's a lot of anime and video game aspects to it.
Yeah, we're all like huge nerds. Like like it's pretty ridiculous. Like I'm still playing Skyrim. I have it paused right now. I played it this morning, but I didn't want to turn it off, so I just kind of it's on my TV right now, and that game came out in like 2012. So, but
nice.
Yeah, we're all huge gamers. We all play like Pokemon on tour, and when we're at the studio, and yeah, just pretty out of control.
Pokemon Go is that the one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I said I'd never get into it, and I was literally the only holdout in the band. Well, Matt is too, but he'll never play anything like that. But they kept trying to get me to do it, and then finally, the last session when we were recording demos, I broke down and gave in.
It's addictive. I mean, like I said, my fiance plays it all the time. Like, she's got the little thing that does it, I forget what it's called. It's like a Pokemon Plus or something that you push a button and it catches stuff automatically for you while you're walking.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, she's got it all. She got it at GameStop or something. But yeah, I mean, I can tell also that nerd culture is kind of seeped into you guys' music and your careers, because you're kind of a big name in the NAMM world. When you go to NAMM, you guys are all over the place, because Misha's making new creative software and stuff like that. So is that something that was always in your mind? Like, we wanted to implement your nerddom into all aspects of the music as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think we generally consider ourselves like artists, and we want to put our identity in the things that we do and how we do them. And I think that's why it comes off like that, because when we're not doing music, we're playing role-playing games, or we're geeking out over movies and TV shows, and we're just really into things, and you can hear it in the music, because the music is pretty serious stuff, but we'll give like a really serious song a really goofy name, because we're also like the biggest goofballs. So it's just like everything, all our personalities are woven into the fabric of the music and the business and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed that part of Periphery, so the goofiness of it. Like, I think it's the first album that has like that track where you guys are just like, Periphery, love that shit.
Oh yeah, the old-timey broadcaster voice.
Yeah,
that was a two friends. That was their idea. They both wrote it, and the one guy did the voices. But yeah, it's just kind of like we don't. I think the most important thing to us is that we don't take ourselves too seriously, because it kind of becomes monotonous when you can expect that, if when you see this band, they're going to be all like dark and brooding, or they're going to be all pissed off, or they have a really metal band name, or their band photos, they're always like scowling with their arms crossed. And it's just like, that's not who we are. And who we are, like, we just like to make jokes and just be goofy as possible, and just like keep our spirits high. And that's kind of like our attitude about it. And, and not knocking on anybody who wants to like have like the dark and brooding look for their metal band. I mean, it makes sense, right. But it's also kind of cliche, and it's hard enough to set yourself apart with the music. You gotta try in other areas too, in our opinion.
For sure, and it helps you with being relatable with people, because people aren't generally just one way their whole lives, Like, you look at, I played a show with Deicide, and they were late. And when they got in, it was, oh, sorry, we were with our kids at church. And I'm like, Deicide.
Yeah.
Your name means to kill God. You were at church with your kids?
Yeah. I mean, that's always the thing. I mean, you see, like, the most metal-looking dude, and he probably just got done petting his cats at home, Like, it's
right.
it's just the way it is.
Oh, man. Maintaining the goofiness. I just got a message from Mike De Maria from Galactic Empire and Illustrium, and he wants to know what your favorite fusion rifle in Destiny is.
Oh, my God. I play Destiny with Mike quite a bit, and nice. He's a fantastic player, a guitar player. But he knows what the answer is. He just wanted to hijack this interview because he's Mike. But it's the vacancy, Mike. We named our album after it.
Fantastic. I was going to ask you about that. I'm like, is that Destiny related? All right, there we go.
Yeah. Like that's another thing about the album is that like a couple of the tracks are like the lyrics like don't make any sense. We were just like talking about Destiny and we kind of made them Destiny related. And so Mike's one of the guys we play with a lot.
Nice. What's okay? So you say you were playing Skyrim. What's one of your most anticipated games that's coming out? I'm pretty sure you paid attention to E3 and all that. I was lucky enough to go this year, so.
Oh, lucky! Yeah, that's. I've never went, and I'd really like to go one year. But definitely Cyberpunk 2077, I think it is.
Yeah, they just released that. Like they showed nothing, and then they released a 40-minute video of all the new footage of gameplay footage.
It looks real sick. Yeah, and the thing is like I'm a huge Cyberpunk fan. Like I love Deus Ex, and I used to play this game called Neocron, and there's not too many Cyberpunk games that are out there, and now we're literally getting a game called Cyberpunk, and it's made by the guys who did The Witcher, which is apparently an amazing game. I mean, Misha has been trying to get me to play it, and I'm like, dude, I still haven't finished Skyrim. Why am I going to start up another like medieval sword and sorcery game?
That's been my issue with The Witcher as well too. Like I keep hearing great things, but every time I try and start it, I'm like, well, I just finished like Skyrim, or I just finished playing this MMO. It's like I've never gotten captivated by it just yet, but I know it's good. I hear it's really good.
Yeah, that's what I hear. But I'm definitely going to play Cyberpunk, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. And Red Dead 2.
Yeah, that's right. That's coming out soon.
Yeah, and
the new Spider-Man game just came out. It looks super sick. I played some of it at E3. I want it, so I'm gonna. I've never been a huge Spider-Man fan, but the game is incredible, so I got. I mean,
that's the thing about all the comic book stuff is all sick. All the movies are sick. All the TV shows are sick. All the games are sick. To me, I can't. I'm like losing my my love for it because I can't distinguish between like what's good and bad. It's like all good. And it's constantly coming out, so I feel like I'm constantly shelling out money to pay for the. I know it sounds weird, but it's just like I'm giving like comic book stuff a rest for a little while. It's become like the new Western, where like we're just getting too much, and I want them to like back off a little bit, but they never will because it makes so much money, and they found a formula that works.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super pleased with what happened with the comic book movies. I'm done, by the way. Like, my friends don't believe me. They're like, "You're gonna keep." I'm like, I don't really care what happens anymore because the only thing I wanted was to see Thanos kill everyone, and he did that. So I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah. Did you ever see? Did you ever see that episode of South Park where? Well, there's a few different episodes, but they're basically like trying to create their own like superhero Netflix movie universe thing, and I just
they made a game out. They made a game out of it, right?
Oh, is that what the game's about? The fractured butthole?
Yeah. That's what the game is. It's all the superheroes.
Yeah. I haven't played the game, but in the latest season they make fun of the fact that like there's so much of that stuff, and I just can't keep up.
That one was pretty good, but the first one was way better. The Stick of Truth, I thought was fantastic as a game.
Yeah, they've been reviewed well. Everybody I've talked to that has played them, so they're great games. I haven't given them a chance yet, but I'd like to. I mean, I love the show.
Nice. Well, I want to go back to some of the, because I kind of derailed with video games, but the questions I had was, I was going to ask you, like, when you're on tour, when you get to a town, do you go out and explore? But now I'm starting to think you guys just play video games.
Well, we do both. Okay. I'd say we explore more than we play video games. You know, I play so many video games at home that, like, when I'm out on tour, like, I just kind of want to, like, see the cities that I'm in. I want to hang out with friends that I have in different towns. And, I kind of want to do hood rat shit with my friends and, you know, just, like, kind of leave the game. I do bring, like, a system or a computer or something on tour, but I generally don't game too much on tour. Gotcha.
So what's your favorite thing to do when you get to a town? Is it look for food, or are you looking for, like, sightseeing type of deals? Like, what's your thing?
Well, my favorite thing is I'm a part of this crew we call the Breakfast Club, and it's basically like all the early risers. So it's like me, Matt, our tour manager Rosie, our merch guy Stosh, our sound guy Alex. We're generally the people who get up first, and it's kind of it's a challenge to see who can find, like, the dopest brunch spot that we can all go and get coffee and you know, use their awesome toilet, and just you know, that's kind of like the thing I look forward to the most is just finding that breakfast spot in the morning. Nice.
Are you a drinker at all?
No, I used to be, but I stopped, and I would love to get back into it again, but I think I needed a break.
What's it mostly, like, boozing, or were you a big beer drinker?
I'm mostly a red wine guy, but I do appreciate a fine beer for sure.
Yeah, I figured you'd be kind of, you know, because of just the nature of who you are and how meticulous the music and everything is, that you'd be really into craft beer and, like, you know, nerding out about that as well.
Yeah, I asked me like 3 years ago, and I would have been able to tell you all about what I've learned, or what I like. But lately, just because of, like, my stomach and just, you know, being stressed out and not getting enough exercise, like, I kind of had to take a break from the whole drinking thing. But, you know, I lost a bunch of weight and I'm feeling really good. So who knows? Maybe I'll go and undo all that stuff pretty soon.
Yeah, as long as you do it with moderation and you're taking care of yourself, then, you know, it shouldn't be too bad.
Right. I just have to remember to control myself and not overdo it, because, you know, it's so easy, especially on the road, to just, you know, me and Mark, like, Stage Right loves drinking, and, like, we'll bring each other drinks to the stage when we're about to go on, and we give each other this look like, who's going to get more fucked up tonight? And it's always been such a blast, but yeah, again, it's just, I got to remember that I can't go crazy, drink all night, and then go right to bed, you know, with that stuff in my stomach.
Right. So, yeah. And as you get older, it gets harder, man. Like, for me, I'm 30, turning 37, and it's like, well, now I got to stop drinking a certain beer. Like, I can't drink sour beer anymore, even though I love it. I can take sips, but I can't have a glass of sour beer because it just wrecks my stomach. And, you know, and then also I can't just pound 10 lagers, because then it takes me 4 days to recover from that. So
you and I sound a lot alike.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, I take, you know, I'll have a beer, maybe I think I'm at, like, a beer every other day right now, unless it's like an event. Like, I went to Psycho Las Vegas this past weekend, and, you know, I raged. Everything I could drink, but that's just a special occasion that happens once a year, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
With that.
Right. Do you have any other projects that you want to do? I know you've done your electronic projects. You've got Periphery. Is there any other genre of music that you want to explore?
No, because I feel like when I think about music in terms of genres, I can't really come up with anything. Like, I sat down to try to write, like, a pop punk song recently just to see if I could do it, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So But if I didn't have any sort of expectation, I probably could write something in that vein if I was working with somebody else. Okay. So the thing that I want to do is me and my buddy Elliot, who's a singer of a band called Good Tiger. We're trying to. We started a project, and we're trying to kind of come up with, hipstery rock, electronic sort of. I don't know, just stuff you'd hear if you went to like a bar in Brooklyn, and with Elliot singing over it. So that's kind of that's what I'm working on right now. It's slow going, but it's just fun to work with Elliot because he's a great musician and a good friend.
Very cool, very cool. Do you have any other hobbies that you like doing aside from gaming and music?
My dog, I like taking him out and spoiling him, and going on hikes with him. I just basically my day, it revolves around him and what he needs or what he wants to do. It's pretty funny because it's just like, I have all this important stuff to do for my job and for, paying bills and whatnot. But it's really, all that stuff just is placed around just taking care of my dog. So that's, he's like the main thing in my life.
Nice. Well, very cool, man. So do you have any tour dates coming up with Periphery that you want to plug?
No, I mean, I wish I did. I'm dying to get back out on tour, and we're talking about it. We're just, we don't have anything set in stone, but it's, I guess you could expect to see us on the road in springtime, early summer. And I don't know what we're doing, but I know we're going to be doing something, so I'm excited about it.
If you could pick any band to go on tour with that's active right now, who would your choice be?
Metallica.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's such a go-to for most of the bands I talk to. Everybody's like, Metallica. That's the one.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to. It's funny. It's just one of those tours that we do for free.
Right.
We could say, yeah, we're on tour with Metallica. I mean, it's just they've gotten to such a level where like that's like the go-to band, and they sell their shirts in H&M now, and it's just kind of they're just.
Oh my God, are you serious? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're just a huge metal band. They're the biggest metal band. But coming back down to planet Earth, I'd like to go on Meshuggah tour or like a Gojira tour or something like that. Deftones again would be great. That was a really fun tour.
I saw you guys with Deftones in Florida, actually, at the Fillmore, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, in Miami. Yeah, it was a fun show. That was one of the shows where we had folks coming up to us being like, "I bought tickets to come see Deftones, and I had no idea that you guys were playing because we got announced for that tour after the whole tour sold out already. So no Periphery fans could actively buy tickets. Yeah, they just had to like, oh, cool, Periphery's playing, awesome. But nice. I guess that works out when we're trying to get more fans or new fans rather.
For sure. And I mean, Deftones always packs the place. They're tremendous. It's I would love to go on tour with the Deftones. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, they're cool guys too. Like they're not like they're a huge band, and everyone has this expectation that like they probably won't talk to you, they probably won't hang around, they probably just be like ghosts on their huge tour that they do. But those guys love to hang out, and they're really sweet guys, every one of them in the band, and they're just they kind of remind me of this band because they're all listening to music, they're all hanging out, they're all just like they just like music, and they're just happy to be doing what they're doing.
Sure, yeah. And you mentioned Meshuggah. I need to ask you because I forget who it was in the band recently came out and was like, "We're sorry about Gent." What do you think?
Oh, Martin said that.
Martin.
Yeah. I don't blame him because they've been doing this for like over 30 years, and they've been doing this style for almost the same amount of time. And it's just like they've probably heard so much derivative music at this point. Periphery probably being one of those bands that like they're probably just sick of it. And I definitely thought it was pretty funny. And the thing about I don't know Martin that well. I've met him a couple of times, but he definitely has this very like sarcastic edge to the things that he says. And he's a very funny guy. So like he wasn't like being 100% serious, but it was just like it's just a funny thing to say because he knows what everybody thinks about this genre. Like gent is the new metalcore, so it's and eventually something that comes out after gent, it's that's going to be made fun of in the same way. Anything that gets, any sort of notoriety or there's a lot of derivative bands will, get clowned on like that.
For sure, man. And I have like a limit. I allow every new thing like a couple bands. So like for gent, it was obviously, I don't consider Meshuggah gent, but like you guys and Animals as leaders and like maybe like one or two others, but like Tesseract. But then there's like 1,000 other bands, and they all kind of sound the same, and it happens with every genre. Like I'm stoner metal. I got really into doom and stoner metal, and then I realized, wow, there's way too many.
Yeah, you just need down. That's it. Like you're good with
Exactly. Yeah, and for like doom, I got Sleep, and I think I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess you need to have it's nice to keep things special, but it also is nice to have the contrast so you could know like that what you are listening to is the quality version of whatever that sound is. Like nothing is truly unique anymore, so it's more about quality.
For sure. Well, brother, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's stay in touch, man. My fiance works at Activision.
Okay, cool.
And I mean, we're constantly. That's why I got to go to E3. I mean, I get to go to the awesome Activision holiday parties and stuff like that. So it'd be cool to game. She games with the developers and stuff. So I don't know.
Cool. Are you a PlayStation family or an Xbox family?
I'm a true nerd. I have everything, but I do definitely spend most of my time on the PlayStation. So.
Okay, cool. I'm Jake Periphery on there if you want to add me, and then are you on Facebook?
Yeah. I think I have you on Facebook. I might have you as a friend on Facebook.
Okay, I'll look for you on there.
Cool. All right, brother. Well, thanks again. Follow if somebody wants to follow you on social media, on Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, Jake Periphery on everything: Twitter, Instagram, whatever else there is. Venmo if you want to send me money.
That's good.
But yeah. Follow me. I post a lot of cute pictures of my dog and no pictures of food, so you're safe.
Nice. And make sure to pick up 4 Seconds Ago on September 28th through 3 Dot Recordings. I already got a copy, like I said, and I really enjoyed it. I've been listening to it every morning now with my girl, so check it out for sure. Cheers, guys.